Hey, Todd Stone from True North here, and I'm out in our salt dome because I wanted to talk a little bit about the salt shortage that's impacting Kansas, well, the entire Midwest really, but especially Kansas City and Omaha, I think, are especially affected. So I kind of wanted to show the salt because it tells the story of what's going on and how we're dealing with the shortage to make sure everyone has plenty of material and that it actually works well when we put it down. So it's February 18th, Monday, February 18th, 2019, and here we go. I'm just gonna... All right, so behind me here in the corner, you see right there, that's treated Kansas rock salt. That's about what we have left of our regular rock salt. How do you know it's from Kansas? Because see how it's got that, it's kind of got a rock in it. Now that's not really a rock. That's some mineral discoloration, but that's very indicative of Kansas mined rock salt. So down here, right there, this little pile, that is white, and that is coming from New Orleans. Comes up the Mississippi, was sitting in St. Louis. So we brought in that salt, okay? Now, over here, this orange stuff right behind me, that's Egyptian salt. We're trucking that in from like Michigan or Ohio, something like that. So, yeah, it's coming from Egypt. So that gives you some idea how much it's costing. All right. So over here, we have fines. What are fines? Fines are what they feed livestock. So this is the stuff, this is Kansas fines right behind me here. So it's like powder. What's the problem with that? Well, it doesn't spread right in the salt spreaders. It gets real gooey and it doesn't go very far, and it gums up if you get any water on it. It's definitely not our preference to use. And then lastly, we've got sand. So now you can't really tell, but when you start out in the beginning of winter, if you buy sand, which we haven't bought sand in probably 5 years, it looks tan, and this looks brown. Why is it brown? It's wet. They're dredging this out of the Kaw River right now and sending it to us. So guess what happens with wet sand when it gets below 32 degrees? It freezes up, turns into chunks. So what we're doing is we're actually mixing a combination of the fines, the Egyptian rock salt, the St. Louis salt, and some of the Kansas actual DOT salt with the wet sand. And then what we're having to do, in order to make sure it doesn't freeze up in the spreader or in the stockpile, is we're treating it with liquids. That's what this is. This is a liquid de-icer. It's got it's a magnesium chloride liquid de-icer, and this is actually what we treat everything with, and that keeps it from freezing up. So normally we would just bring in salt and treat it and then send that out to our depots. But now we're having to bring in Kansas salt, St. Louis salt, Egyptian salt, livestock salt, sand, mix it all up together, and then put the liquids on it so that it works good. And wow, this has been a real challenge, but so far it's working, and we're putting it down. We used it in this last storm we had, the snowstorm. We started using that product in the sleet storm, and it's been working really good. We've been really happy with how well it's worked. So it's, I guess, do what you got to do.